We all love to use buttons in our journals, but they take up so much space. Join me to learn how to make these faux buttons that lay flatter and don't cause as much bulk in your journal. Hi everybody, it's Tammy with Frou-frou Studio, and today I'm going to share a faux button idea that I saw from Luise Heinzl, and I hope I'm saying that right. She's in Austria, and she has a YouTube channel called Junk Journal Art. She does several of her videos both in English and in German. She's a really great artist and journalist, and I watch her videos all the time, and they're really great. I would suggest, if you'd like to watch YouTube videos, which I hope you do since you're watching my channel, that you'll check her out, because she is awesome. So today what I'm going to share is a easier, I don't know if it's easier, less bulky button idea so that you can use a button in your journal without it taking up so much space, because I know my journals get really chunky because I like to layer and do things like that, and I love to use vintage buttons, but they are so thick. This one, as you can see, is a real button. And you can see the thickness. And this is one of the faux buttons. And if you compare them, you can see that there's quite a bit of difference in the thickness. But this one ends up being just as sturdy as a regular button. And you can use them and give the appearance of using a button without causing all the bulk. And I think that's just a really cool idea. So I'm going to show you how to make these really quick, and then we're going to put one of them to use so you can see how it looks on a finished project, because this is really simple and it's not really enough to do a video on by itself, so we're gonna put it into practice as well. So to get started, what you're gonna want to do is you're gonna want to cut some circles, and I just used my 3/4 inch circle punch for this, and I cut out a bunch of just cardstock pieces, and I also cut out book page pieces. Luise did hers out of all book pages, but I am impatient and it takes a lot of layering to get it to where you want it, and so I did cardstock, so it did start out a little bit thicker than what a regular book page would start out to be, so I wouldn't have to do as many layers. I say a lot. I didn't notice it till I started making videos, and then I realized I need to delete that from my vocabulary. So I'm using my art glitter glue, and I do 4 layers of cardstock. 2, 3, and you don't have to, I mean, you could use tacky glue on this. I just think that, again, for my patience level, I want it to dry fairly quickly so that I could move on to the next step and not have to wait for tacky glue to dry. And then we're going to put a book page on top. And I'll do a couple of these so you can see the process more than once. Very simple. You can see I still have orange nails, if you saw my last video. My orange nail situation from inking. And I glue a bunch of these up at the same time. I'm just going to do a couple here because you don't need to watch me set and glue things. Alright, so there's that part. And then once they have dried a little bit, I ink the edges, which is totally up to you whether you want to do that or not. It's not necessary. But again, I just prefer that look. I'm going to have to change my inking sponge. It's starting to fall apart. That's one thing about if you ink edges that's really hard on the foam. So there's that. We inked up the edges a little bit. Okay, in Luise's video, she uses I would have been able to think of it, glossy accents. Sorry, it left me there a minute. And I don't have any of that, and so when I experimented with mine, I used Tim Holtz's just embossing glaze. And I think that gives just as good of a look as what hers did with glossy accents. Is probably thicker, but I think this gives a good look for what I want. And of course, you know, you could use either. I think the glossy accents probably takes longer to dry. I'm not familiar with that product at all. So, also, you can use the pad or you can use the dauber, either one. And we're going to just put some embossing, hit it with the embossing ink. And then pick your color. I'm going to use antique linen, I think, for these. Actually, I'll do one in antique linen and one in different colors so you can see. Maybe do clear on the other one. And the clear, I just get this Ranger clear embossing powder. There's nothing special about it. And just kind of put that on there, and then get my trusty tweezers here so I can pick it up. Whoops, that didn't go well, did it? I have to kind of pull them apart so I can get on the edges. Just kind of give it a little tap. Dump the excess off. If that had been more, I'd have put it back in the jar, but it wasn't really enough to worry about, so. Okay, and then I take my little pokey tool, and so I can hold it down And I'm going to turn my heat gun on, so it's going to make a little bit of noise. Kind of hold this down. Move that one out of the way so I don't blow it away. Oops, I blew all my little circles away though. Okay, so now we have those melted. Give them just a second to dry. You can see they put just a little bit of shine on there. You can see that. Just a little bit. And then I'm going to take this hole punch, which is really tiny. I got this on Amazon, and I looked for a size on here, and it's not marked. I want to say that it's maybe 1/4 of an inch. I'll try to look up where I ordered it and see if my order history is still there, and if I can find it again, I'll link it in the description. But we're just gonna, this is what we're gonna use to put the holes in for where the thread would go. And a lot of times I don't get these real straight, but we're gonna try here. And I do 2 holes, and I'm assuming you could do 4 as well. There's plenty of room too on this size. And it goes through the material fairly easily. And there you have it. 2 little buttons. That's how thick they are. So you see that's going to take up a lot less room in your journal than a regular button. We'll compare it again to a regular one. And I'll show you some other colors that I did here. These are the clear. I did these in antique linen. You can see there's not a big difference between it and the clear. It has maybe a little orangey, a little more orangey finish. These are in the new color Salvage Patina from Tim Holtz. They have kind of a bluey green kind of color. I love that color. It's my favorite. And then these are done in hickory smoke. And so they have kind of a grayish color to those. So, and the color options are endless. I'm assuming you could use Ranger embossing powder in like a silver or a gold or some of the metallics and have a metallic looking button. I have not tried that, but I would think it would work the same as the clear. So that's it. I mean, that's all that is to that. Most of it is, you know, taking the circles and gluing them together and just having the patience to do that. And so whenever I'm at a stoppage or I can't think of what I'm going to do on a certain project, this is the kind of field work that I do until the next idea comes along. So now let's put a couple of these. here's the ones we just made. One clear. That was the clear one. And this one is the antique linen. So let's put a couple of these in use now. I thought what we do is alter a guest check. These are just plain old handwritten guest checks that they use in restaurants. So the first thing I'm going to do is ink it all up. I tore the bottom tab off because I'm going to make a pocket out of that. I'm going to put this down here and make a little pocket. So let's ink this up. I'm going to ink the edges with my coffee dye, or coffee archival ink. Give it some grunge. I'll do this piece as well. And then I think I'm going to go over it in, this is antique linen. Now I've got those circles everywhere where I blew them with the embossing gun. This just kind of knocks the white off a little bit. There's not a lot of color to it, but you can see it just kind of tones it down a little bit. And actually, I just had another idea. I'm going to run and get a stencil here and as soon as I get this done. Because I just thought of something that would be cute with this theme. Okay. I'm going to run over here and get my tea dye and a stencil. Okay, do you guys do that? You get in the middle of making something and you think, oh, I know what I can do. I do it all the time. It's like I can't finish one thing before I'm thinking about something else. These are all Tim Holtz stencils. And I just keep them on a ring, and big ring, and they're hanging up over where I normally do my inking and stamping. But I have this one that I think is really cute because it has these rings and splatters. And I'm going to take my tea dye, and I keep just the mini inks because so far they've been all I really need. And they stay really wet. And they work fine for me, so I'm going to wrap this on here. This is just a little cheap makeup brush that I found at a local store for a couple bucks, and they work really good with stencils and applying ink. If you haven't tried them, they work to suit me. I know that they make, a couple of people make sets for this very purpose, but these little $2 ones work well for me. Okay, so that's what we have. And this will kind of come together in a minute, I think, when I start putting the other stuff on the tag. I guess we're going to call it a tag. So I'm going to glue this, and I'm going to glue it just down the sides and across the bottom so that it's open at the top as a pocket. And I'm going to glue it just like that, and I hope I'm still in frame. So that's what we have. We have just a little pocket right here. Okay, and then I have this lady who's drinking tea, hence the thought of the stencil. And I think that I am going to fussy cut around her a little bit. Just to kind of get rid of some of the bulk. Hope everyone is having a good day. Any day I'm crafting is a good day. Journaling, making. It's a good day for me. Isn't this exciting watching me cut around this? And then I'm going to ink her up. And I just put the wrong one in there. We're going to put her on here. Maybe about right. Actually, I want to have her part of that number. So we might do her about right there. One of the reasons that I picked her is because she has the blue and red, like the blue and red that's on the ticket. And so I wanted to kind of try to carry the colors through. And then on the pocket, this part down here, I'm going to make a little cluster and use one of our buttons. This is just, I had a punch that had this little scallopy look to it, and I've got a little piece of fabric and some cheesecloth and some lace. It's just a little scrap, again, that has kind of the same colors. And some cheesecloth and just a little piece of lace. And I'm going to glue that on the pocket part so that we're still able to get in the back. So let's put some, actually I'm going to put the glue on here. I'll be safer doing that. That way I'll know I won't glue that little thing shut. Otherwise, I'm sure that I would. And you know, I'm putting this glue on there, and I probably should really use Fabri-Tac. I'll check it when it dries and make sure everything has set good. Then I'm going to take our little button, put in the middle. And then I'm going to take this bird. Now, this is just a bird that I cut out of a bird book. It was just regular paper, but I backed it with a piece of cardstock so to be a little stiffer because I want to give it some dimension so that it's off the page a little bit. So I did put cardstock on the back to make it more suitable for that. I'm going to take the dimensional tape and actually I'm going to have to start where? Right below his neck. So about there. Then I'm going to trim this so it won't show. I don't have any little bitty tiny dots, which is what I really need for this. I'm out. And then I'm also going to ink that so that if there is any white still showing, you won't be able to see it. It's a little trick that I use. If you just kind of ink the edge before you take the tape off, that way it still stays sticky, but you have your edges kind of camouflaged. Okay, I'm going to put him, where'd I put that? Okay. Kind of right there. Oh, I gotta glue her down, don't I? Put her up here. The reason I'm putting her higher is I want you to still be able to see her once we put the little tag in, peeking out, so I don't want her to be totally covered up. Okay, and then I have this little tag, and this was one of these tags, and I just cut it down because that was going to be too long, obviously, so I just cut it down. So we're going to ink up the edges of that. Front and back. And I've got this little piece here that says Liverpool on it. It's a little piece of a map. It's actually scrapbook paper. It's not an actual map. Glue that on. It's Tim Holtz paper. And then I have this little washi sticker. And my washi stickers came from, I have it written down over here so I could tell you guys. Oh, these came from Amazon. Oop, don't do that. And again, I'm just trying to tie in the red a little bit by using the cardinal and also by using this red flower. It ties in the red, but it also ties into the flowers. And then I'm going to put this word chatterbox because I think she just looks like a chatterbox. So we need to figure out where we want this. Do we want it just on the, I think we'll put it just on the tag. Are you screaming at me where you would put it? Now, we've got a couple of options, and see, this is going to slide right down in our little pocket we made, and you're still going to be able to see her. You can kind of set it at an angle, and it just makes a real cute little guest check. We have a couple of options. We can make this whole tag, which reminds me I need to, or this whole guest check a tag, or we could just leave it as is and put it in a journal and then have just this tag that could be journaled on the back. So I think I'll put, I think maybe some blue, a little piece of blue ribbon on the top of that. If I have some blue, let's see what I have here. Maybe that. Yeah, I like that. We use the red a lot, repeated, but we haven't used any of the blue. And for this one, I'm going to cut just a tiny piece. And I'm going to poke it through the whole flat. Like this, and then I'm just going to take my little stapler and I'm just going to staple it because that just gives it a different look. So there we go. So we have our altered guest check. We used our faux button. Sting this up a little bit. I think that turned out really cute. And this one was short and sweet. But I hope you go and make you some buttons, and I would love to see how you use them in your journals. Thanks.